Hey, I'm Jonathan, and I live in London, England.
Hey, I'm Jeff, and I live in Perth, Australia.
Together, we are Echo and Sidetrack.
We produce music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between the giant space that separates us.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Echo and Sidetrack. Today's episode of A Band Apart with Echo and Sidetrack is brought to you by Short Order Burger Co. I, for one, believe it's the best burger in Perth, Australia. And whether you live in Perth and you haven't tried it, or whether you're going to go to Perth and you're looking for the best burger, I advise you go to this place. They've got two stores, one on Hay Street in the city, 800 Hay Street, and one in Fremantle at 3 William Street. The Fremantle is a new store. It looks like an absolute vibe. Great place to go for a drink and enjoy a big old burger. This week, the code word has changed. When you go into the store, say Reunited for a 10% discount on your order. That is code word Reunited for a 10% discount at Short Order. Go out there and enjoy a burger, yo. We have announced our first Perth headline show together in 18 months. It is called Echo and Sidetrack Reunited, and it is going to happen on the 22nd of May at the Court. It's a Saturday, it's a day party that goes into the night, and it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. We're bringing down some of our favourite Perth drum and bass friends, such as Terrence and Philip, another brother duo, our friend Mannequin, our friend Yadaman, Ember, the Proto Code guys are doing an epic back-to-back, and quite a few others. General release tickets are now on sale, so you can follow the link on our Instagram or on our Facebook, or there's a link directly in the Facebook event. Get your tickets, it's going to be amazing. I'm super hyped to play my first Perth show in 18 months. Like, I can't literally wait. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to party with you all. See ya. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Unfortunately, this week's podcast is cut short, and it kind of stops a bit abruptly. We were down south in Margaret River and recording on our phones, and for some reason Jeff's phone stopped recording halfway through. We tried to piece together the audio from my microphone, but it was just so poor a quality. So yeah, that's why it's a shorter one today. But some of the stuff that we talk about in the second half, we're going to start the latest podcast with. So you'll still get some of the info that we discuss. The lost conversation, if you will, in this week's podcast. Either way, I hope you enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to the holiday edition of A Band Apart with Echo and Sidetrack, where we're both apart from Perth. And we are down south, Jonathan.
Yeah, and this is the first podcast we've done together.
In person.
In person. Ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, well, we did old podcasts in person, obviously. Our previous podcast, Adventures with Echo and Sidetrack, but yeah,
First one for a year. For more than a year.
Yeah, for more than a year. This is on the new podcast. This is the first time we've ever done a podcast.
I feel uncomfortable.
I feel a bit strange, to be honest. Yeah, you're quite close, and also I'm unsure about anything I'm saying, as you may you could maybe be able to tell.
We have been in the sun today. We've had some wines.
I'm planning on drinking more as well. Welcome back, first of all, Jonathan. It's lovely to see your face.
Thanks, buddy. It's good to be back.
Really, truly is a dream.
Do you want to hold hand?
Don't touch me. No, it was to catch the listener up. Jonathan got out of quarantine a few days ago, late last week, or on Sunday actually, or yeah, basically on the weekend, last weekend, and I came back from Sydney, and Jonathan, you can tell them what you did rather than me telling.
Jeff arrived back from Sydney at about 8 p.m. On Sunday night, and I think I was just going to see you on Monday, And I felt like it would be better if I surprised you. So I messaged Jeff's girlfriend, who I had not met,
Shout out to Holly.
and said, hey, I know you're picking up Jeff. I'll just come to your house and we'll go pick him up together and I'll surprise him. So I did that, which was a lovely way to meet Holly. And I got to surprise you and feign an older man's voice, which is what we usually do when we surprise each other.
Hello, what can I do for you?
Can I give you a hand with this? Yeah, which was a nice little reunion.
And you came up behind me as I was loading my bag into the car
And grabbed you.
and touched me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it was back to normal.
It was quite surreal to have you there because then you came and hung out with us that night and we like ate some food and lots of laughter, and it was awesome that the first time you met my girlfriend, you and her schemed to do a prank on me. I think that's like an amazing melding of the minds.
It was so easy, and it's kind of a testament to who Holly is, how easy it was just to be like, hey, I'll just come over and we'll just go pick up Jeff. And she was like, yeah, cool. And then we just got along in the car and chatted and laughed. And, I guess part of the ease of that is because I almost am like an extension of you, or you're an extension of me to some extent.
We definitely do have similarities.
Just like we're kind of interchangeable.
Yeah.
Not saying if something happened to you that I would feel those boots with Holly, but we are kind of interchangeable.
In some respects we are, in others
We're not.
we're not. Beautiful, unique human beings, Jonathan.
We are. You are.
Yeah, but it's
Always.
it's great to have you back and see you and be interacting and be working together as brothers. It is a bit surreal because for the last essentially 18 months really, we've been doing everything has a time delay, and we'll chat almost every day on WhatsApp, but it's to now be like we're doing something, we're doing it together, rather than me being like, okay, I'm finishing up here at the studio, this is what I've been working on, or are you able to look at this, blah 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 kind of thing. It makes it, yeah, it's just different. It's just getting used to it. But it's lovely to have you back. Does it feel surreal to be back, or are you happy to be here? Happy to be here is the wrong thing.
Can it be both? I'm happy to be back, but it definitely feels surreal. It's
And by surreal, you mean so real?
surreal.
Oh,
SU. Surreal. Sterile. It feels sterile, but I've also it's strange because it feels very surreal because obviously I'm coming back to up until yesterday at 12 p.m. Free and open state,
COVID free.
Currently, Western Australia or the Perth and Peel region is in a 3-day lockdown, possibly a 5-day lockdown. But before that, it was like I'm going from a lockdown country to a free country, yet at the same time, I am going back to something that feels so normal. So like I've gone back to my childhood home. I'm driving in the same area that we've got, always kind of hang out, going back to the studio, like driving a car again, which I haven't done in 18 months, and like doing all these things that are so familiar, yet they have this kind of like glaze over them because
Like
I haven't done
Christmas
them in
ham.
so long. Yeah, like a Christmas ham or some sort of hot cross bun that has just been brushed before putting back in the oven. I think it's everything's kind of got this like shine to it, like this newness to
Yeah.
it.
I'm just imagining a fucking hot cross bun. I know exactly the shine you're talking about. Ooh, shiny.
Like it's
Is it a good shine or a shine that you're like, oh, it's just a different?
It's kind of it is like a range of emotion, Sean. You know, you do go from being like happy to be back and enjoying all these things that I couldn't have done before. Like even coming down south and playing a show like we did last night. That was the first show we played together for a long time. And interacting with people and experiencing like a music festival and that type of stuff. Like they're all amazing things, but it's like my thought process is one of like enjoyment and happiness and all these positives, and then there will invariably be a moment where I do go like, but fuck, I miss home.
Yeah, because that's how you think of it now, hey?
Yeah, and like there's this yearning still for London and for my friends back home, or I go like, oh, I wish like Shawnee could be here. I wish James could be here. I wish I could tell Max about this. There is invariably this like enjoyment and then a missing people thing, which I think will be here for quite a while.
It is always like the people, like you even get it when you go away for an extended holiday. You're like, I want to do this here with these people, but I want to grab that person.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Like when you're on holiday, like, do you know who would love this place? So and so. Excuse me.
I just wish that I could have, you know, I wish there was technology that I could just teleport people in.
Well, it's funny enough you bring that up, Jonathan, because we'd like to announce that we've got a new sponsor, actually. Billy Bob's teleportation facility. He's based out of San Francisco, and yeah, you'll be hearing more about that at the start of the podcast. If you didn't hear the ad, because he chose to teleport himself away and advertise with someone else. But yeah, he was getting in touch.
But it's. I also know that shine that I talked about,
The hot cross bun
shine, is something that is going to wear off, and like that's good. Justin,
if you can hear yelling in the background, it's because we're recording this in the theater room of our Airbnb.
That sounds so like ostentatious.
Yeah.
Like, oh, our Airbnb has a theater room,
and
it's a room. It's a separate room with a TV.
Yeah, it's called the theater room. I would call this the theater room.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, it's nice.
well, the way it backs onto the infinity pool makes it
which is actually where the projector is.
Yeah, it's projecting out, and if it didn't have a koi pond, I would say it has none of these things. It's got a television and a bunch of board games, and we're very thankful for it.
But yeah, I think the shine of everything is going to wear off after I see everyone and after I start to kind of get into the routine of being back in Perth and what that looks like, and this becomes my new reality, because at the moment it still feels like potentially a holiday. But I do think there'll be this like coming down period where I realize that I'm here, if that makes sense, and the shine turns to a kind of dull glow. But I'm pretty adamant and determined to not lose a lot of the excitement and kind of hunger that I think I gained in London. I think we've talked about it before. Like, one of the main reasons you enjoy holidays so much is because every day is filled with something that you're not used to seeing. Every road is new. Every street is different. Suddenly you remember everything because you're seeing it for the first time. And obviously coming back to Perth, as soon as you get on like the freeway or in the city, you just forget journeys. You forget.
You can turn on autopilot.
Yeah, you turn off whole days because you're like, this is what I do every day. I think one of the things I want to try to do is go to new places, go to parks, go to different beaches, kind of increase the amount of wonder and excitement in my life like I would in London, and not just take it for granted that I'm in Perth, because there's loads of stuff in Perth that I haven't done and that I haven't seen. It's just that you don't do it because it's your hometown. But if you view your hometown as a tourist might, I think you're going to extract more value out of it. And I think
Sure.
that's the way to keep that kind of traveling spirit and that kind of excitement alive.
Inject more wonder.
Inject more wonder directly into your penis.
Yeah, as we spoke about.
As
previously.
we've spoken about, that would be like a catchphrase.
Yeah, we'll get a shirt made up. How did it feel playing a show with me again and planning a set and doing going through the motions of that kind of thing?
Exciting. Man, it's so funny. I really, playing last night was so exciting to me. Like, I always get excited when I play, and I always jump around and clap and have fun and smile and stuff. But yeah, last night was really fun, and it felt, yeah, I had a similar feeling to how I felt in Cologne when I played there in September.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it on the podcast afterwards, being like, this is what you're meant to be doing. This is kind of what gives you energy and what feeds you. It was fucking great. And I think after, I can't remember if we spoke about this as well. We probably have, but I'll talk about it again. I think a part of you goes into hibernation when you don't have access to that thing.
Yeah, it's like a muscle that's not being used, so you don't flex it, so it it atrophies a little bit.
But like you kind of mentally you have to tell yourself that you're not going to get that thing, so you're just not going to think about it, because if you thought about it and were consumed by it, it would break your heart. And then when you suddenly have access to it again, that part of your brain opens up again, and you're like, oh no, remember how much you love performing? And then you kind of need it again. You know, it's like not having access to a drug or kind of food or any kind of vice or something you love, and only having access to it in one place. And then when you're not in that place, you don't think about it. But then when you get to that place, like, how do I live my life without this thing? Yeah, so I felt like that. I felt wonderful seeing friends again and interacting with the crowd, and seeing Tash and Tony was really nice again. And yeah, it's just, there's a lot of emotions. Like, I really do need to go see a psychologist, because
Stop the podcast now.
losing my mind right now. No, because I do need to learn. Like, I need to figure out how to kind of unpack all this. And while I seem to be managing it with like a cool-headedness, that I know that there's a lot going on underneath the surface that I might not be as aware of. And the taxing emotional nature of moving countries and COVID and the past year, and kind of making connections and those connections breaking, and then having new connections here in Perth and all that stuff, that's I'm not taking, I shouldn't take all that lightly. And I feel like I'd be doing a misservice to myself if I didn't really figure out a way that I can deal with this all, because trauma, I don't want to use the word trauma because I don't think it's traumatic, but like mentally, this has definitely taken an impact on me. I think it would be remiss if I didn't figure it out in some sort of way. Because I think it does really mean something.
Your last year in London, particularly the kind of person you are, I think it had more of an effect on you than you know.
Yeah.
And you did so well to deal with it. and sometimes you broke and let it show more, but you did so well to deal with it, like a lot of people do. But now you're seeming like you can kind of breathe again. Yeah, you have to address how it might have affected you, and it's not like some huge serious thing, but it's just going to make you adjust a little easier.
There are important moments in all our lives, and being aware of those moments, and talking about them, and unpacking them is so important. And it just feels like this is one of those things that I should probably talk to someone about, because it's like a missed opportunity to hammer in some lessons or be reminded of things, because I don't want the past year to be
a dead rubber, so to speak. Like you're like, it's just a write-off.
Yeah, it's a write-off, or like it's a blip, or it's just like a step backwards or anything like that. I don't think of it that way. I think we had dinner with Rhea the other night, and she said, do you regret going when you did? Because obviously, like, I just moved over and I got to play a few shows, and it was kind of moving positive,
just starting to take flight.
And then everything fucked itself. And I said no, because I had the opportunity to live through an interesting part of history, but I also became so close to friends who I previously wasn't as close to, and I met new friends and made all these connections. Like, I wouldn't have met Jim and Shawnee. I wouldn't have had all these experiences that I had that was so important to shaping me who I am now. Like, I'm so fucking glad I didn't come home. Like, that flight was cancelled last March, because I think I would just be a completely different person.
Yeah, and you probably would have a bit more regret, I think.
Absolutely.
Another thing I have to say, I reckon you really flourished over there as a Jonathan. Like, I enjoyed watching you become more than just my little brother. I mean, you're always more than my little brother, but there is always that like brotherly thing. Like, we do stuff together, and if you don't do it, then I do it, and vice versa. And I'm just seeing you over there doing stuff. I'm like, well, it's not what I do, but wow, Jono's doing an amazing thing. Or like, whoa, I never would have thought to do that. And I was like, oh, Jono's like, he's becoming more of his own person. And I think that has been very important. We've had conversations in the past that, like, I think it would be good if you moved to another country for a while. Yeah.
That separation, definitely of us, I think is integral to both of us becoming more of, I wouldn't say our own people, because I think we know kind of who we are as people. But I do believe that the past year being separated has allowed us to know ourselves more without the other. So we've always kind of known that we're Jeff and Jonathan, but like, we know who we are, who we are when we're together. But when we're separate, and I'm sure that you feel similar, but there does sometimes feel like part of us is missing, and filling that gap with our own self, I think, is quite healthy. And just like a relationship, when we're back together and we've filled up the gap that was made when we left each other. Now we're going to be more powerful back together.
Absolutely.
And I think it's going to be good. And it's that also adds to like viewing Perth in a different way, because our relationship is going to be different. The dynamics are different, and like the Perth that I'm coming back to is not the Perth that I left, you know?
No man walks into the same river twice, Jonathan. He is not the same man. It is not the same river.
Exactly.
No, it's really good. That's a really good insight to take away from it. Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast app and keep up to date with all new episodes. They're going to be coming out once a week. We are Echo and Sidetrack on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we are Echo Sidetrack. Go listen to our music on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, or wherever your ears consume happiness. Lots of love, people.